Hello, everyone. We warmly welcome you all to our special program brought to you by Indian Achievers Forum. I'm your host, Vatika Singh. Indian Achievers Award is an honor that celebrates the people who went extraordinary to effectuate their aspirations and ideas. In this series, we emphasize not only on the struggles and achievements of the people, but also on the social contributions they made to their native land, India. Before introducing you all to our one such achiever, let's take a look at the small Ali.
Indian Achievers Forum is driven by a full-fledged advisory board. The board consists of experienced personalities who have excelled in their respective careers. Together, the forum organizes conferences, events, workshops, exhibitions, trade shows, and B2B initiatives in India as well as abroad. Where there is passion, there is achievement. And where there is achievement, there is Indian Achievers Forum.
Today we have with us the co-founder and managing director of International Model United Nations and United Youth Circuit, Mr. Shobhan Krishnan Mishra. Hello sir, how are you?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm good.
All right sir, so before entering into the questions, tell us something about yourself and your professional role.
Right. So as I described myself, I'm a double degree major in electronics and instrumentation along with economics. I'm a graduate from BITS Pilani, and since the last 7 years, I have been following my passion for working towards international relations, towards peace, sustainability, and diplomacy. Alongside that, I have also been working in the banking industry, being an analyst for one of the major banking firms around the world. And since a very long time, I have been following my passion to work towards the youth, spread awareness, and to help them know and understand about how the world is moving and how it is changing today, and how we can, as youth, change the next 20 years to 30 years of work which we do to make sure that the generations to come are much better off.
Right sir, so how did this idea came into your mind of starting this business?
Right. Uh, I think the inception started pretty early in 2012-13 when I had a couple of colleagues of mine moving to London for a couple of programs associated with London School of Economics. That not only diversified my view of going for it and interacting with a larger audience, it also helped me understand about what we are doing is on such a small scale and how we can amplify our efforts and understand about other viewpoints in other regions of the world so that we can incorporate them in our country or help our viewpoints reach those regions in the world where people do not have the know-how to go about, let's say, peace building or let's say diplomacy or smart diplomacy or climatic changes or what can be done on a sustainable scale or on a technological setup which can influence various industries and markets at large. That's how the idea of establishing International Model United Nations came to be. And me, along with four other colleagues of mine, we started this organization back when in 2016-17. And it's been a great journey so far, building up to that, along with me taking up other positions in United Youth Circuit and other IGOs and NGOs around the globe.
That's really great, sir. Okay, so moving ahead, we know for a fact that starting anything has never been easy for anyone. So, what all were the challenging predicaments that you had to go through initially during the commencement of your business?
Right. Um, so the challenges were huge, of course, because I'm not from a business background, or I'm not from a background where anyone in my family or surroundings has established a business or run about an organization which is for the welfare of others. So in terms of guidance, mentorship, I did not have anybody actually who could guide me through. The only way in which I could move forward was hardcore research and going about knowing about things by talking to people as much as possible on a daily basis, irrespective of them being in the country or them being outside. So Facebook, all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, all of them contributed a lot to how I widened my mindset. And of course, talking to people around the world, I realized that the challenges which I had of bridging the gap between what I knew and what I had to know to proceed, I think it became pretty simple. I'm grateful to the fact that people around the world have been receptive to change, even if they have not been implementing changes. So on the implementation front, yes, we are still facing challenges, but in terms of the know-how, in terms of how the awareness should be, how the youth should move forward, I think we are doing pretty well in bringing about the setup of United Nations to the domestic parts of the country, as well as in other tier 3 countries where people do not know actually what UN means or what UN does or how the governments collaborate with the United Nations and how peace building takes place in actuality. So I think the challenges have been pretty much overcome by the receptivity. But I'm sure that implementation has to go a long way now for people to understand about it.
Right, sir. So I just want to ask that how is India being viewed around the globe today?
Right. So as we already know, our first prime minister had a dream of bringing India into the P5 countries of the UN Security Council, and at that point of time, China was taken ahead and India was not. But as we know, India is very close to being one of the permanent members from Asia for the UN Security Council, and uh, that sole aspect of taking India ahead, along with the giant push in technology, aerospace, or in other aspects of healthcare, which our honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, has taken up by bringing in the Atmanirbhar setup, by encouraging small and medium scale enterprises around the country and bringing about people who actually have an innovative mindset to go about the world and present their views and innovations on a larger platform, has helped India move ahead in terms of every other end market sector. If we consider the COVID times itself, I think it's a great example because India has been exporting vaccinations all around the globe, including including the most distant parts of South America or Africa, or be it in Asia as well. So I think in terms of leadership, India is moving ahead. India is actually paving the path for other supreme or other powers around the world to understand how we can, irrespective of being such a huge population. I mean, we are the second most populous country in the world. Irrespective of being such a huge population, how uh, a country actually responds to such a setup, and how a country actually goes ahead irrespective of its own population, only 1% of its own population being vaccinated, actually helping out every other country in the world to bridge the gap and make everyone understand that we are in this together. So I think India is proving to be a great example in the years to come.
Right, sir. So I just want to ask that how does your company works and what are your future objectives with respect to your company?
Right. Uh, both International Model United Nations and United Youth Circuit, it's typically based on a framework of United Nations where each and every part of United Nations, be it UNICEF, UNESCO, WHO, International Labour Organization, all these parts are simulated on a smaller scale, with the framework being the same, but youth coming forward from each and every part of the country or from other countries to emulate the same logic, emulate the same rules and regulations which are followed in all these organizations. And this particular framework I won't say that International Model United Nations or United Youth Circuit are the only frameworks of United Nations. Every school, every university today has its own setup of Model United Nations. But what we do is on a global scale. What we want to preach and what we want to aspire in people is on a global scale, because uh, no matter how much people view themselves in their own territory, widening the mindset by bringing together people from or children or youngsters from other nations and improving the dialogue amongst them. I think that goes a great step forward in how they want to pursue their career ahead. So I think that is how both the organizations have been moving ahead, and that will be my primary focus for the next 5 to 10 years, of including youth in policy making as much as possible, and then going ahead and inspiring them, irrespective of in which part of the world they are, for moving into international relations, or paying attention to not just themselves but people at large. So my goal in the next 10 years will be continuing in such organizations, and advising organizations all over the globe wherever I can, which can have a larger impact. I'm glad that IAF has been reaching to people all around India and has been setting up a benchmark for the same. And I'm sure that this particular thing will be carried forward in the times to come, so that people actually understand that not just degrees, but actually implementation is going to be the great step forward. And I'm sure in the next 5 to 10 years, along with continuing my education and pursuing my master's, be it in business administration or in public policy domain, will help me bridge the gap between private and public sector, and help the youngsters understand how they can have or unleash their own potential in whatever time they have, irrespective of where they are in the world.
That's really commendable, sir, and we hope that all your future endeavors are well accomplished. Okay, so moving ahead, you must be knowing about the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan prevailing in the country at the moment.
Right.
So, what are your views on the campaign and how much do you conquer with it?
Right. Uh, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, if I remember correctly, was started somewhere around 2017-18, when we were closer to the second phase of elections. And the primary motive of such an abhiyan, such a movement, was to ensure self-reliance. I want to stress on that just because of the fact that more often than not, if I consider on an individualistic basis, people start depending on others for doing their work, or people start, wanting others to help them out even in the easiest of situations. How the pathway has been created in this aspect is is simply because the channelization of the energy of being dependent on oneself or on one's own country for their own resources has started from the very top, from the prime minister level, from the government level, and that is being inculcated in most of the end industries all around the world. So if I look at aerospace and defense, India has a ton of export coming in. If I look at food and agriculture, India has a ton of export coming in, going out, I mean, and a ton of imports coming in. So our main objective is to ensure that we are self-reliant in terms of exports, and our imports start decreasing. And that is only going to happen if in each and every sector R&D is taken care of, innovations are introduced, and we are able to conquer with the other nations in terms of our technological know-how. Because as I see in the next few years to come, technology is the only way in which we'll be able to bridge the gap, be it in the manufacturing sector or the food and agricultural sector, because every single thing will require a lot of tech know-how in order to ensure that our outputs double. And that is the only way in which we'll be able to cater to our population, and the population, or the people who are outside who need India's help to grow. Countries like Jamaica, or the other countries like, let's say, Nigeria, Kenya, all these countries will need to have a lot of support from India's side in order to go ahead. So this Atmanirbhar Bharat, it's not just one place where we look after ourselves. It's also a place where when we look after ourselves, we'll be able to look at the others on the whole as well. So both the things are being bridged in this, and I'm glad that the vision is being carried forward by youth organizations such as ourselves for this initiative.
Okay, so first of all, congratulations on winning the Indian Achievers Award. So I just want to know that what was the feeling when you were informed that you have won the Indian Achievers Award, and who all were the constant supporters in this journey of yours?
Firstly, thank you so much for conferring me with this award. It's a huge honor to present myself and my organizations and whatever work I have done since the last decade, uh, and being conferred with this award, facilitated for the same. I think it goes a long way in ensuring that the work does not stop. As far as my motivations are concerned, my primary motivations has been my mom and dad. Of course, my parents have ensured that in every bit of the way, in every place, they give me a free hand in doing whatever I like, howsoever I like, and inventing, reinventing, and rediscovering myself, and starting from a clean slate, irrespective of which kind of a situation I am in. Because if one can make mistakes, one can, you know, one has a lot of flaws, and irrespective of that situation, if we can restart and redo things on a clean slate and reinvent ourselves, I think that is the biggest learning which my parents have given. And I'm glad that they believe in my potential to make an impact on a larger scale. So those two people, I think, have been my primary source of motivation, along with my colleagues, of course, in my company. And of course, the other people around the globe. It's not just an effort from my side. It's also an effort from people around the globe who are trying to inspire you on an everyday basis to do something apart from your regular book of work, in order to go ahead and ensure that you also can make an impact, and even one soul touched is one heart healed. And that's how I view my journey as. And I'm glad I had all these people around me to motivate me for the same and inspire me for the same.
Right, sir. So now, since we know a lot about your professional role, tell us something more about your social contributions also.
Right. uh, I, I think I would like to shed light primarily on these last 2 years. uh, the last 2 years has been very, very difficult for everyone around the globe, just because of the social distancing and the coronavirus pandemic. And in this, I think people have realized the need to meet people, or talk to everyone, or expand themselves, irrespective of in any way possible. And every single aspect of each person's life has been on a digital scale, and that has helped me understand how crucial my role is in talking to people and spreading the awareness about you know every single initiative, or every single youth organization, or every single platform which is present around the world and working towards youth empowerment. So my social contribution has more been towards awareness and ensuring that people follow their passion and bring out times from their daily lives to do something which doesn't come to them naturally. I have been trying to push thousands of people around the globe, be it in countries like Algeria, be it in countries like UAE, South Africa, United States, uh, even countries in Asia like Philippines, Malaysia, India, of course, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. All these countries have interacted with youth on an everyday basis, have ensured that they can pursue platforms, or they can pursue journeys which are not so common to them in their countries. Just like in India, if I give an example, in most parts of India, they try to ensure that somebody becomes an engineer, somebody becomes a doctor, but the awareness of international relations, peace building, and diplomacy is very less in India. So just by ensuring that our programs, our conferences reach the ear, and we ensure that people know about this, I think that we have come a great way in the last decade. And I think the implementation part will go more ahead once we start. We put our foot down on the public sector platforms, and ensure that our industries, since we are growing now, we are ensuring that our industries are more aligned to the technological practices of advancement rather than holding on to what we believe in, and growing and expanding as much as possible. So every single bit of our work has been related to bringing out the zeal in the public and going ahead and ensuring that nobody stays back. And I'm glad we have been able to achieve the same in the last couple of years.
Right, sir. So before concluding this session, you know that IF is followed not only by mainstream organizations, but
Right.
also those young minds who aspire to be like our achievers someday. So what is that one message you'd like to tell them?
Right. Two messages actually. I can give a very homegrown example as well. So I was born and brought up in a small city, which is Bokaro Steel City in Jharkhand, and uh, no, I mean the place where I was born and brought up in is the place where MS Dhoni was born and brought up in, and he has been my role model for how things proceed in life as you grow up and how you take things ahead. Uh, the first message which I would like to give youngsters is uh, to not focus on the end result and to improve on the journey, to place their journey much ahead of what the end result is. If you're doing the journey right, the end result somewhere or the other will give you the satisfaction, irrespective of it being a win or a loss. So focus on the journey, and no dream is small, of course, because whatever you dream in somewhere or the other stays in your subconscious mind, and it influences you in whatever you do in all the decades to come, and it inspires people around you tremendously, no matter where they are. So this is the primary source of information, and the second source of information, or the second important message which I would like to pass on to everyone around the globe, including all those people who follow IAF, all those people who look at me anywhere around the world, is to place compassion somewhere closer to competition, because compassion teaches you things which competition cannot. Because being compassionate, being kind-hearted, being benevolent in what you do, I think that is very important, because you, in that process, you just do not care about yourself, but you care about the population at large. And the amount of love which you have for one person is amplified into the love which you have for people around the world. And that is the primary source of inspiration which anyone can have to serve their own country, their own people, or anyone around the world who believes that they can do it anywhere, anytime, any place. That's my message for everyone.
And that I must say is a great piece of advice for everyone. Thank you so much, sir, for joining with us today. It was pleasure talking to you, and we hope that you continue to inspire people of all ages forever. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.